This time on Rat and Cat, the best survival stories from May 2020. Welcome to Rat and Cat, where we search, survive, and explore on Nikia. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you that if you want more Rat and Cat, change your notifications for this channel from personalized to all, so that you get notifications for all my search and rescue survival videos. Alright, it's time to look at the best survival stories from May 2020. There were several recent water rescues. First I want to jump back to one that I missed in April though. On Seneca Lake, New York, Keith Seymore and Daniel Manganaro, both age 27, decided to canoe across the lake from a summer home in a 14-foot canoe when they capsized. It's unclear what time of day they went into the water, but rescue crews were called to Seneca Lake around 9:14 p.m. on a Sunday. It wasn't until nearly 3 hours later, around midnight, that crews spotted Keith Seymore clinging to a partially submerged canoe near the center of the lake, but Daniel Manganaro remains missing.
Upside down.
Then 1 month later, also on Lake Seneca, two brothers, Mike and Benjamin Close, were boating when they happened to notice something odd in the distance about a mile out. Mike grabbed his binoculars and saw a capsized kayak with a man waving a paddle.
Somebody's clinging to the bottom of a kayak, and we're coming to their aid here.
He quickly went to the man's location, tossed him a life ring, and pulled him aboard.
We got you! Stay up! Here, Benny, take this. Alright, it's alright, bud, it's okay. We got you, buddy, we got you. We got you, bud, we got you. Right here, come on. Don't fall off again. Nope, come on, it's easy. Easy, bud, just leave alone. My God. That's okay, bud, we're here. We're here. You saved my life. Come on, bud. Oh my God. You're on board, just flatten out for a minute. Relax.
They called 911 and Frank, the rescued man, was taken to a local hospital. Later, the brothers went to the hospital to check on the man. Turns out Frank had recently lost his brother. Mike told him, well, we're your brothers now. On Parlin Pond, Maine, a man and his two daughters were fishing when the winds increased and their boat started taking on water and eventually capsized. The three put on life jackets and tried to swim to shore, but only one girl made it. An off-duty game warden, his wife, and a camp owner heard her screaming on the shoreline. They took a boat out to the teenage girl, who said their boat had capsized and her father and sister were still in the middle of the lake. They found the man and his teenage daughter floating in the water. Both were suffering from hypothermia. They were taken to shore and examined by medical crews, but did not need further treatment. About 1 mile off the coast from Fleetwood, England, three men were traveling on board a vessel believed to be a decommissioned fishing boat when it sank. Before that, they were somehow able to call or radio for help. When rescue crews arrived, they found two survivors, a 71-year-old man from Accrington and a 70-year-old man from Blackburn. A third man remained missing and was believed to have gone down with the boat. His body was later recovered from the water near Rossall Point by the Royal National Lifeguard Institution. It was a tough bank holiday weekend too on the Cornwall coast. A group were enjoying the holiday when their boat capsized near Dunbar near Padstow. 3 survived, but one teenage girl became trapped under the capsized boat and did not survive. In a separate incident, a man was pulled out to sea by the current and did not survive. His body was found and pulled from the sea near Constantine by an off-duty lifeguard. In Chuka, Kenya, 41-year-old Royford Mugambi disappeared on May 22. His brothers searched for him for 13 days, even checking the local mortuary. They'd almost given up hope when they got some good news. A neighbor was working in a farm nearby when he heard someone calling. The neighbor thought it was his father, who was also working a few meters away from him. But when he responded, his father said that he hadn't called him, so he continued to work. But then he heard the voice again. This time the person called him by his name. And when he went in the direction of the voice, he noticed that the person was calling from an old well. The quiet voice sounded familiar though. It was Mugambi. He asked for some water. The two men immediately ran and grabbed a ladder. They had Mugambi hold on to the ladder as they pulled him out. The survival is even more impressive considering that Mugambi is mentally challenged and he spent nearly 13 days surviving in at least ankle-deep water. Near Lyons, Colorado, 5 family members from Arizona and Kansas were hiking on the Colson Gulch Trail when they reached the North Saint Vrain Creek. The map showed that the trail continued on the south side of the creek, so one of the adult females decided to attempt crossing the creek. It was running high due to spring runoff, and she was knocked off her feet and swept down the stream over 3 sets of waterfalls. She was finally able to grab a log and climb out on the south side of the creek. A teenage girl from the group managed to cross to the south side of the creek also without incident. The family members on both sides of the creek decided to follow the trail to see if there was a point where they could all cross. But when they realized that they could not safely cross the creek, they activated the SOS feature on their handheld GPS device, which sent their coordinates to first responders. Rocky Mountain Rescue Group set up a highline rescue across the creek. They put the stranded hikers into rescue harnesses and personal flotation devices, then pulled them back over the creek one at a time. Also in Boulder County, at a popular paragliding stop near Wonderland Lake, a 27-year-old man was paragliding when his right wing collapsed, causing him to fall 50 to 100 feet straight down, according to witnesses who called 911 for help. A nurse who was in the area responded and rendered aid to the injured man until rescuers arrived. Volunteer rescuers from Rocky Mountain Rescue Group arrived and did a 75-foot litter evacuation uphill to the top of the ridge, then a 100-foot slide-down evacuation to the ambulance. The man sustained injuries to his left arm, ribs, and had difficulty breathing. He was wearing a helmet, which likely saved his life. So what can we learn from these stories? If you're new to boating, don't trust your safety to others. Try taking a water safety course first. Even if you're experienced, I'd recommend taking a water safety course every few years, just to freshen up. There's many instances with boating in rough water or simply hitting a wave wrong where you could lose consciousness and not be able to right yourself. In those situations, a life jacket may be the only thing that would save you. It's also important not to underestimate the wind when you're in a human-powered watercraft. Essentially, your boat hull works like a sail, and a strong wind carries far more power than an oar or paddle. It's better to be safe than sorry, and make sure to watch the changing weather and wave patterns. Many lakes can be calm in the morning, but then be hit like clockwork by strong winds in the afternoon or evening. Also, look at where you are. You could be in a calm area sheltered by trees or land, but just a short distance away, the more open water may be more windswept with large waves that can quickly sweep you further out, or even worse, capsize your vessel. And be very cautious when crossing streams and rivers. It takes as little as 6 inches of moving water to knock an adult off their feet. A sturdy walking stick or tracking poles can help you keep your footing, but if you're not sure-footed, it's better not to cross at all. And finally, like the man who fell down the well, never give up. What advice would you add to these stories? I'll look forward to reading what you have to say in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Nakia, and this was Rat Cat. Get out there, be safe, and enjoy the wild.